What I wish I knew at 18 instead of 28? That Young Elder News 9 would be my go-to for all things news and more. Broadcasting live worldwide, we've got over 3 million listeners tuned in every day. From world news to stock markets, government topics to the quirkiest stories, we cover it all on Young Elder TV. And remember, folks, you heard it here first. Our friendly team brings you the latest scoops with a dash of that good old Southern charm. Whether you're curious about the latest political twists or need the lowdown on the economy,
and the ancestors are looking out for us. God Hayes is exposing them, man.
Okay, you see that chair right there? See how big it is?
Yeah.
Now look at the Pope chair under it. Scroll down, look at the Pope chair under it.
Never have it been made so clear.
Young TV. Young.
We running the game right now.
Young TV.
Time to take over.
Young
We the hottest in the game. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. If you just not tuned in.
TV.
Share, like on your Instagram, Facebook.
Young TV.
If you tuned in, we broadcasting live from 2030, baby.
Young TV. Young
Taking over the game, baby. Oh yeah.
Young TV.
Hit that like.
Young TV.
Get them likes up in the air, you heard me?
Young TV.
Ride by. Hotel Islam.
Young TV.
Assalamu alaikum. Flown letter.
Young TV.
Hit that like.
Hey, we got the chief backstage. He gonna be on in a minute, but while we got chief get ready to come on, I want to tell you what brought this class about. Now, for the last couple weeks, I've been studying the Duke's teachings, Duke of Tears teachings, and as I'm listening to his teachings, and I already knew about the Duke for a long time. Like most people know about the Duke, if you were Moore, if you one of us, right? You know about our high-powered. Duke is a high-powered linguistics, and he's a high-powered architectural examiner, and so he got a lot of like the stuff. I listened to a lot of his tapes, and a lot of it got time stamps older than 7 years old, and he's saying a lot of the same stuff Rod's saying, especially about the Black Venetians, the Black Hand, and how they took over. So we got a lot of clips tonight. And we're going over the Black Hand. Oh, they go Rod right here. He backstage. Dang. My bad, Rod.
No, you good, Al.
Yeah.
I'm still setting up.
Okay, all right. Go ahead. Yeah, so as I studied a couple of tapes, and I'm gonna go back and I'm building the archives, and we had to give Duke his flowers, right? Shout out Duke the Tears. We had to give his flowers. Be sure to go subscribe to his YouTube channel in the descriptions. We got it in the descriptions in the link. And we also got, if you want to send him some donations, we got his donation links in the descriptions as well. So be sure to go subscribe to his channel. But as I was studying for the last couple of days, and I've been sitting there listening, he got 3 hour, 4 hour, 2 hour long tapes. I was sitting there listening and taking notes. And I'm saying, man, he's saying some of the same stuff Rod's saying. And that the master teacher Taj Tariq Bey saying, and that Doc was saying that. And everything, and not only is he saying the same thing Rod saying, he got more receipts that I didn't even know about. He got a whole bunch of more receipts to prove what we were saying. Like he got some high-powered receipts, right? His shit is like, so we brought some of that stuff to clips, and me and Chief is gonna go over them. Public notice. public notice is notice the agent is notice the principal. And for the record, let the record reflect, let the record show, right? So everything we do is on the record, man. So what we're coming to talk to you about is because a lot of people have been coming at Chief and coming at me saying that y'all talking about the Moors. Y'all going out to the Moors. And they think that we're going out to all Moors. And we're not going out to all Moors. We're going out to the dirty Moors, right? But we're gonna clear some of it up tonight, and y'all gonna see what's going on. I put an AI tape out already because I heard the what sparked this tape. If I heard the Duke of Tears mention the black Venetians, and I said, "Dang, I heard Chief say something about them." So when I looked up more on what Duke was saying, and I said, "Damn, man, this shit line up," you know. So I got AI to do a rundown on it, and now I see what's where everybody aiming at. So we got a couple of clips, like I said, and this shit's about to get good. You want to say something, Chief, before we go? Go ahead.
I'm so glad we get to do a review of a good Moor. So people, because if you listening to what Rod be saying, sometimes, man, it sounds like I just hard on the Moors. I don't care about the righteous Moors. It's not my problem. They not a problem at all. Them dirty Moors make all Moors look bad. The dirty Moors make all Moors look bad. That's why I had Taj Tariq explain on the show one time the difference between the dirty Moors and the righteous Moors, because I wanted it to come from somebody that was actually part of the Moorish movement. I don't have a problem with all Moors. I got a problem with dirty Moors, right? I never said nothing about Aseer Duke of Tears because I already know where he at. I already know what he working on. I already know where he going. I never said nothing about Kush Day, right? Matter of fact, Kush Day made a comment. I put up a post to catch a dirty Moor, and he surfaced in Hawaii. And when Kush Day made a comment, I said, "This don't have nothing to do with you. I'm trying to trap a dirty Moor," right? Because people don't know that when we struggling to overcome the deceivers and the deceptions, and then the infiltration and the infiltrators, you can't infiltrate an all melanated organization with pale people. It's just not gonna happen. It's a sore thumb. It's an automatic. That's one of them type energies, right? But when they look like us, we can't tell all the time that they not one of us, right? They see me go on with Taj Tariq Bey on House of Reawakened Minds with Dr. G, and he told him out the gate the first time he seen me, he said, "There go the closer."
That's right. I heard it myself.
I got a whole post from his 75th birthday giving him his flowers way back then. I think he like 80, 81, right? But I know the difference between the righteous Moors and the dirty Moors. So when you see me snatching a knot in the Moorish ass, it don't got nothing to do with the righteous Moors. Them don't have, they don't go around starting shit. They don't look at the suppression and oppression of the women, right? That's not the righteous Moor. That's the dirty Moor job. The dirty Moor job is the same ones I've been talking about the whole time. The Moor Zionist Jews that came over here, Noble Drew Ali outed them. When Noble Drew Ali outed them, they started sending people that look like him to take his head, right? Elijah Muhammad spotted him. It wasn't for the FOI. They'd have been got to Farrakhan. He couldn't have done it without the FOI. Right? They know who the dirty Moors is. When you looking back in the history books and you seeing these movements of our elders just passed, right? And you realize, why is they needing, you thinking they needing all this security because they trying to protect themselves from like KKK or the Nazis or something like, no. All that security is to protect them from people that look like us, that don't mean us no earthly good, who declare war on us, didn't tell us, moved next door to us and pretended to be part of the community, and they don't belong.
That's right.
Did you get the last video I sent you, Angel Bay?
Yeah, but it's copyrighted, so it ain't gonna let me play it. It's got a copy with the stuff in the background.
Can you play like 30 seconds of it? Or
No,
you can't
it
play
won't let
none
me
of it
play
at all?
Yeah, because of how it's copyrighted. Yeah, it wouldn't even let me put it to the download. The download when you put it to the download, it's got a copyright on it.
Okay,
So
anyway,
yeah,
the video
go
clip
ahead.
was birthday wishes for Chief Malik Angel Bay. His birthday was February 20th. Okay, so that's why I want to do it, because today this show is dedicated to Chief Malik Angel Bay.
The era rookie.
Right. And I'm going to be on B-Dell to finish up what we start today, Saturday. And that one going to be dedicated to Chief Malik Angel Bay. Because the angel came and took the key away. So we need to know exactly what's the difference between the righteous Moor and the dirty Moor. We need to know who the infiltrators is and who the ones that came to do something. And just because they in the Moorish community, don't automatically dismiss them. But you can tell the ones that are, because you cannot ask them, can you put the sheikhs up on the podium? And as soon as they get ready to whoop your ass, you'll know he a dirty Moor. Right? It's going to be more on that Saturday. Moorish Women's Consulate and the flag of the babes. The flag of the babes.
Hey, Rod, I don't because one of them just attacked me when I put out the human right versus civil rights tape, and he came in there and he had a name like Dracula Bay, and I said, hey man, with a name like Dracula Bay, how can I trust what's being said, man? You working with the dragon. He tried to go back and forth with me, but he really wasn't making no sense. He really just was laughing, but he tried to deter me. Then when I put the tape out about the Duke talking about the human rights versus civil rights, he like, but I could tell that he wanted them. He wanted them. Dracula Bay, come on, man. Like you dealing, you know what I'm saying?
Well, you got to go back to the history of who Dracula was. Vlad the Impaler, right?
Right.
Vlad the Impaler is called the Impaler because on the way up to his castle, he had people impaled all the way up on both sides of the road for the last mile leading up to his castle. So they called him Vlad the Impaler. He was a blood-sucking, rotten SOB.
There you go.
Right. So we ain't gonna get too much into it. We can go ahead and start getting to the proceedings this evening, young girl.
Hey, look, let's go ahead and get it, man. We're about to drop the first clip right here.
Shot
The original
town, peace
Europeans didn't disappear. They were replaced and betrayed by their own Moorish kin. The dirty Venetians, they didn't conquer with armies. They infiltrated with whispers and greed. They found their willing partners, Moors who sold their birthright for a gilded cage.
Their appetites were easily swayed. They sold their heritage for this, the fleeting trinkets of a foreign court.
People didn't build these magnificent cities, we just walked in. But who got us ready to walk in? The Venetians, to pave the way for their true agenda. The dirty Moorish bloodlines, the hidden hand. And when the truth became too dangerous, they crafted a lie for the masses. Othello, a masterful deception. Venetians, architects of influence, they forged a new order. Pawns in their grand design to fortify the return on their terms. Sold the divine spark, denied Conte Aleni, his doctrine, a license to exploit. Religion twisted.
The Albravos, Moors who chose survival over truth, acting like they were Christians, a disguise, hiding their true nature behind a borrowed faith. The Venetians knew their weaknesses, their base desires. Thus the mighty fell, seduced by
One of the most important connections from the ancient world, the ancient dynasties, up into the modern, are a group of people from Italy, from Venice specifically, that have dominated the world for many generations, that have been loosely called the Black Venetians. Now this term, the Black Venetians or the Black Nobility, is their own term. This is not just a historical term used for them. This is one of their own terms. And they became known as the Black Nobility or the Black Venetians because literally their deeds were so black. These oligarchs formed our cities. They formed the political systems that we have. No more than a few hundred years ago, it was crown or it was gown. It was cross or it was crown. It was monarch on one side to mind control you and brainwash you and throw you in a dungeon, or it was the popes and the potentates. Two forms of control. Nobody just came in and took over. These individuals have created our cities, created our industries. They were there from day one. They were billionaires from the 1st century AD. And they're dancing on their desks to find out how easy it is to manipulate the herd, of the population of the world. But they didn't just suddenly come in and take over like some normal mafioso group. These individuals created the entire structure of our life. Our forefathers, not so long ago, never even ventured more than 5-10 miles from their feudal villages. In fact, it was even a crime to even do so. So nothing could have been easier. You have military, monarchy, and you have the religious, the theocracy. Two forms that attain world domination more simply than we can ever even imagine.
Shakespeare, who they call Shakespeare, again, put his essence or whatever in it. And what he was basically doing was writing stories about the fall of the Hebraic line of Moors who were now going to be displaced by the dirty Venetians, who was going to use the wild cave people to basically bless up their kingdom and then assume their position. These people who were acting, who were descended in some ways from ancient Phoenicians like we are, but they chose to deny the soul. So their worship of Apollo, so they acted like Christians, but they was really pagans. So they would worship Apollo, and they would put on their buildings, they would put the winged lion with the wings. That's their symbol. So anytime you see that, that was the symbol that they adopted, because that was the symbol that the Phoenicians used to put on the front of their ships. So they're basically saying that we're carrying on this tradition of a trade empire. But unlike old Phoenicia, unlike old thing, at least with Phoenicia, they was actually also producing goods. They was producing things, and they were going around the whole globe as the direct descendants of everybody and maintaining the shores and the international tradeways of the world. You understand what I'm saying? Because we were already seafarers, because they were all the direct descendants of the direct descendants of the direct descendants of those Moors and those original Asiatics that were made in the image of Allah and set to put dominion over the whole world.
The Phoenicians were remarkable seafarers and traders, dominating the Mediterranean from around 1,500.
Before I play that, hold on, we're gonna get into a couple questions now. So Rod, we see that, okay, the Duke mentioned the dirty Venetians and how they used the pale man as the same thing you were saying about how these dirty boys had this front guy, and they making us think that this white guy's the guy. And I got more clips where Duke talk about it. And they pretty much puppet the whole game using this white guy. And we thinking the whole time the white guys, the guys that's out there, it was some people even attacking me, saying why everybody that's attacking us in the videos you putting out is black, so-called black, right? Or dark-skinned people. So could you, they say it was white folks attacking us. So could you go in on, you can tie this into the Venetians, because some kind of way they created the first major central bank, these guys. And then it stemmed from there we're gonna get into it, the commercial and all that, and the UCC. But could you go in on why people are being confused on, hey, I thought we was being attacked by white guys. Why these people dark that's doing the Thanksgiving pilgrims, the Plymouth Rock landing on us? I thought these guys were white guys. Could you go in on that?
White people don't start getting their pale face until the 1600s. When Columbus came in 1492 until 1619 or 1619, no pale faces came yet. But who was we fighting? So it was designed to look like we was fighting people by skin color. right? The George Washington Challenge is the one of the 72 secret treaties. And in the secret treaty, it tell you that's when they raided Mar-a-Lago to get those treaties from Trump. And then they tried to trump up all them charges on him, and then they found out that the 72 treaties had been sent to Raven Rock, Colorado for review by the continuity of government team, and they couldn't charge him with nothing because he didn't do nothing wrong. As the president at the time that he was in office the first time, he had a legal obligation to the people to break us free, because that's why the military recruited him. Because pale faces was used by the dirty Moors to murky the waters of who we was fighting, we needed pale faces to stand up on our behalf and speak up for us. That's why Noble Drew Ali said, I'm gonna make the European tell you the truth. Right? He talking about the pale face European, but the dirty Moor not gonna tell you the truth no matter what. He gonna always tell you wrong. He gonna always tell you he the only one know something. He always gonna tell you about some adept measure that you not privy to. He gonna always tell you that if you understood the prophet like I do, he don't even understand the prophet because he can't read the tribal code in the message that he gave. We know the Circle 7 came from Aquarian Gospel to Jesus Christ by Levi Dollar and Unto Thee I Grant, originally written by Amenhotep III. But that ain't the magic in the Circle 7. The magic in the Circle 7 is those books have way more information in them than the Circle 7. Why did he select the parts that he selected to put in the Circle 7? He had a method to his madness, right? Now, when I looked it up, I knew my mama was a vice lord. And I had a vice lord bunkie that was a four-corner hustler. So I went to page 4 out the gate in order to see what's the message. I went to the 11th verse and the 10th verse and read them backwards. And that's how I knew the angel came and took the key away. Right? It might have been Moorish literature. I'm not sure, but it's one of them. But when you go through there, he got a chapter called Religious Controversy. He got a chapter called Misery. And misery started out weak and insufficient and good, old man and good. But there's one thing in which you are obstinate and unshaken, and his name is misery. So he telling you that these people was using the misery of the suffering in order to prevent you from becoming knowledgeable. Right? So you had this broke up in the business lives of Jesus Christ, and then the second part is this holy instructions from the prophet. All through that book, there's codes by number. And most people don't know that because the numerology is important, but if you don't know gematria, you're wasting your time. But the gematria is important, but if you don't know the numerology, you're wasting your time. So anyway, they put the pale face out front and challenge us to a chess game. Those are the pawns in the game. The ones we call pale face, they are the pawns in the game. Their whole purpose was to appear different from the people of the land, while the other dirty Moors appeared to be the same as the people of the land. Then they brought in the Mongolians. The Mongolians didn't come in through Ellis Island. They came in through Greenland and Iceland, right, in the far north, and they marched them across Canada and down to the West Coast. They used the Inuit contact as the cover story for the out of the across the Bering Straits narrative. Right? Those people been up there, man, and they was dark. The original ones there was dark, but they end up amalgamating with the Mongolian stock and it lightened them up. The Mongolian stock was already lightened up from the vassal villages that they got their soldiers from. When they brought them over here, a lot of them came with the Portuguese and the Dutch, because them the ones that was assigned north of the New England states of the United States. That's how you know they came. They originally came to the New England states, and you can see them on the crest for some of the boroughs. And them the ones that tried to buy Manhattan for a string of beads, of worthless beads, and $5 or something like that. And they was telling them then, the Shinnecock was telling them, we don't believe in selling land. And there was several other tribes contemporary with the Shinnecock that encountered them that told them the same thing. You can't come over here and buy land. We can lease you some land, but we can't sell you no land. Right? So all of the tribes across the land was unanimous on we can't sell land. So this is why when you go to the relationship, what's the relationship between the United States government and the tribes in law? According to their law, they say they're on a one-to-one equal footing, government to government, right? But when we go into their court system, they don't acknowledge us as part of our tribal government and tribal system. That we captured now because we are in a vessel.
Yeah, it's
right?
wars.
Right. So the ones that came over here, we left all kind of messages through posterity in the oral tradition, the written tradition. We had writers. That's why David Walker's appeal is so important. Because when we was capturing these dirty SOBs, we started doing to them what they was doing to us. POW camps. We started forcing their ass to work on the family farm, and that's why they get to talk about the Indians had slaves too. There was POWs on both sides, baby. It was POWs on both sides. It's gonna look like everybody. Slavery didn't exist over here before 1492. It just didn't happen. If you came from a foreign nation over here, you had to first go through the Port of Nola. When you got to New Orleans, they introduce you to some big mamas. And they sit back and watch how you move, and they assign you to where you gonna go on the land. Right? That's how we did it. Then somebody else from across the land gonna take you in, and when they take you in, you're gonna have a adjustment period, and then they're gonna give you a ritual that's gonna make you a ceremonial member of the tribe. The only reason why it was called him a ceremonial member because he don't got the blood and the right. But 9 out of 10, they're gonna give him a wife if it's a male, or a husband if it's a female. Right? Because we didn't believe in this Christian dogmatic belief in homosexual pedophile priests. You had to have a wife if you're a man, a husband if you're a woman. So most of our marriages, even going into the 1800s, was still arranged marriages. We didn't have marriages that was we gonna have this romantic love, because we understood romantic love as homosexuality and extensions of homosexuality. So it was a whole different ball game. So we were supposed to get mad at the end when we start coming back, waking up, and just go willy-nilly killing the paleface. That's what the whole stirring up Charles Manson and Joseph Sinclair was supposed to form these two armies to fight each other about. And both of them went rogue. You can't teach the people how to have power and don't think they're going to use it for their benefit if you want them to use it for yours. Right? So the reason why most of us don't know we was fighting melanated, woolly-haired people that look like us is because they didn't want us to know. The whitewashing of history, it didn't start until the late 1500s when they started saying, nope, the 1600s, when they first came up with a free white person in law, right? That's when they start using the whitewashing of history and trading out melanated people for pale faces in the art, in the historical narrative, and in the literature. But the reality of it is nature knows no color line. It had nothing to do with skin color.
Mm-hmm.
it had something to do with social status. The social status in Europe, the ones who was classified as white was the noble families. They was the royalty of Europe. Then when they went in to conceal themselves, right, they called them Mound, or the unknown priests. They was the ones behind the scenes pulling the strings. You seen the Pope kissing their feet.
Yeah, I put
Right.
pictures
So
of it.
when we looking at it now, the confusion is dissipating. You're starting to be able to clearly see it now. Right? When Malcolm said the Nation of Islam was thoroughly infiltrated by the New York police and the FBI, they wasn't using no crackers to infiltrate the Nation of Islam. Come on now, who was they using?
Yeah, right.
Right? And people point out a lot of stuff because they don't remember the tribal tradition. The tribal tradition, if you understood it, show you where your dog at in the fight. It was a million fights going on, and we had a dog in every one of them because we from the land. Mm-hmm. We originate here. We sprung forth like trees off the earth, and we personified. We the original clans of this land. The root stock is the old Mississippians that trace back to the Olmec, the Inca, the Maya, the Aztec, the Toltec. All of those was the same people at different eras. It was the paleface that reclassified us in those eras as different people. But we was the same people the whole time. When they brought over the Mongolians, the Mongolian hybrids, remember, all of the royal families had to give up a drop of blood to the paleface to clean up the great debauchery, right? Which was the concealing a genetic experiment that was not approved by the matriarchy, and which made them go to war with the women, which made them subjugate the earth, which made them do a conjure spell to put the earth in a slumber, a Kali Yuga, a sleep state, right? So now we coming out of that, and we starting to see what's really going on. Malachi didn't have internal problems until he welcomed in some Moors. The dirty Moors came in with the righteous Moors, and all of a sudden he ended up in prison.
He said that the black devils got close, and he kept them close too. So he kept them close to watch them. Hey, I got another question for you, Rod, because you said something a while back. And for the person that just came in and said, "Where's the Duke?" What this is we going over clips of what the Duke said, of stuff that the Duke said that Rod been saying, and it's like everybody's saying the same thing. So this is what I want to ask you based on before we go to the next clips, because I got two questions. Now I've been listening to the Duke thoroughly, and I heard the Duke say something about the Indian means not with God. And based on the context of it that he using it seemed like it's part of the Inquisitionists and the doctrine of discovery, saying that, hey, if they ain't with Jesus or with Christianity, then they ain't with God, so they some Indians. So I heard a Duke say that Indian means in Latin not with God, and it really don't apply to us technically, and the word native as well don't apply to us based on the linguistic context and law. What's your take on that, Rod?
You remember when we did more a catch turn?
Yeah.
We discussed that in that particular tape. But what he talking about, everything, 99% of I ain't gonna say that much, but about 75 to 80% of the references to who we are exonyms. If you go back to the video we just watched about the dirty Venetians, they said they named themselves the black nobility, or the black nobility. He said they named themselves that. That's called that's an autonym. You name yourself, right? And everybody got the right to name themselves. Right, to self-identify with your tribe, your clan, and your country. They tricked us they tricked us when they told us that a nation and the country is the same thing. A nation is a term that's used to designate this flag. The flag represents the nation, right? The country don't need a flag. That's why we didn't have flags. We had wampum belts and totem poles.
Right.
Right. Those were the totem poles tell you what tribes operate in the area. And they was normally out of the outside of every major city, and they were also at every trading post. At the trading post, you can tell who to trade here, so you know what goods and services you're going to be trading for.
So the pirates bought the flag. The pirates bought the flags.
The flag is an admiralty distinction.
Okay.
The law of the flag comes from the admiralty jurisdiction. It's not the law of the land.
Okay.
Right now, it take you back to the game Battleship. Right. If you sink somebody battleship, you capture their flag. It's a whole nother story. That's for Saturdays. Today we talking about who is these people called dirty Venetians. They spring forth from what we call the Middle East today. They migrated in two directions. Some of them went into Africa.
Hold on, Rod. Hold on.
Okay.
We say they come from where now?
From what we call the Middle East. Babylon.
Where the Middle East is? Nah, hey, of course, I got receipts, man. I got receipts.
Let's go. We're going to go over all the receipts because you got to remember, we looking at blocks of time and name changes.
Okay, but let me say this because we already with these videos on this. Okay, so we understand now that they changed the map around, right? We understand that. Yeah. And so a lot of the land masses that they saying over there today really was over here, and some of them still named the same thing over here. They don't mention it, like Memphis, these different names, Cairo. So we understand that the real Egypt really technically was over here, based on the context of the maps being switched. So that means that the Phoenicians, who the Venetians origin from America. Let me play these clips real quick, then you tell me what you think. Okay. I take in perspectives. I ain't saying you wrong or nobody's wrong. I'm just saying I take in perspective. So,
we going over information. We reviewing information right now.
Okay. Right. Yeah. So these guys. Now this is what I find interesting before I get into these clips, Roy, because we went over this already. Now we know that there were some people that were kicked out of Egypt, right? These guys, they got kicked out of Egypt. And Doc said they were called the Hyksos, the Jacobites, and this and that, right? Then we know that the people that chased them out were called the Magi's. These are old Mississippians. There was a police department over here in Tamaray that rounded these guys up, blindfolded them, put them cable told them. They put this in the Masonic shit, and then they took them off from over here. Now they say that in the Venetian story, they said they got exiled from America. So I'm saying, what the heck? Like, it sounds like the same thing. Like if you listen to the story of Ishmael, of how Ishmael's him and his mother Hagar got exiled from Abraham. Just say, I'm not saying that the Bible story real. I'm just saying at the scenarios, because they play that same story with a new. It plays over and over again, right? Or the story of, like I say, these bad guys who were eating our children, who look like us, ain't us, got kidnapped, got rounded up, these Jacobites, and kicked out of Egypt. And we found out that Egypt was where the corn was, and the corn is over here in America, Texas.
Right,
and Missouri is Miss Rain. Missouri is Miss. Go ahead.
Tahuti came from over here and went over there and set Kemet up. So it's a no-brainer why they would have corn.
Okay.
Right. Because corn native to over here. But corn was created by the gods to make the mortals.
Yeah, the maize gods.
That's in the Popol Vuh. Right. So we know when we read in the hieroglyphs what's taking place.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because the story's still there in the hieroglyphs. The story is there in the emerald tablets. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so But where they confusing us at is the continuously concealing their identity, moving among people that look like them, that's not them.
Mm-hmm.
Even when they say the Venetians is the Phoenicians is not the Venetians. The Venetians, listen. The Venetians people, the people that's the Venetians, infiltrated the people that's the Phoenicians. The original seafarers of the earth was notable for certain things that gave them their name Phoenician, which was that cloth, that crimson cloth that they was named after. It had nothing to do with where they came from. The Venetians is the same when I said the Etruscans.
Right? Same people.
And what the difference in it is where they settled. The Venetians settled Venice, in the area of Venice. We talking Italy, we talking Rome.
That's right.
The Etruscans settled Tuscany. We still talking Italy. But the Etruscans leaked over into what we call France and Spain. They came through Spain across the Straits of Hercules, the Pillars of Hercules, right? That's how they got out of Africa. They got exiled out of Africa in 711. That's why they left. They didn't go there to civilize Europe because Egypt had already sent the priestesses to civilize the Greeks. So they didn't go there to civilize Europe. That wasn't not what they went there for. They went there because they got kicked out of Africa for doing the same shit they did that got them kicked out of Europe. The same thing they did that got them kicked out of everywhere they ever been. Remember, Elijah said, everywhere they go, they cause mischief and bloodshed. They cause war between two peaceful groups, and then they act like they didn't have nothing to do with it, and then they go come up with a solution. And then I add on there 4 feet. 4 feet, because they always going to attach a dollar value to anything they do. That's why they believe in selling their soul. You can't sell your soul for real. You can sell your intellectual soul expressions and own a patent on that under your patent system. But we didn't use patents. We understood that person's intellectual property was how nature gave them a means to support themselves. So we supported anybody that did any kind of artistic works, intellectual works, right? So when you come up with something out of your mind that nobody else has ever seen before, and then somebody see it, they go take it to the elders and say, look what little Joey made. Right? So then the elders look at little Joey, you made this, yeah. Anybody from here on out, if y'all want to use this, y'all got to pay little Joey. That was it. It was spoken, it was done. This is where you get your husia from. Husia, it's authoritative utterance with exceptional insight. If you have the exceptional insight, speak on the matter, and it's done. Right? So they keep changing their names to confuse us in the future, and they live way longer than us. Way longer than us. We think that they be dead. They be done went underground in the tunnel and sent somebody else up in order to pretend to be their child or their cousin or their uncle that come to finish their work because they got to go back and recharge on the blood of the innocent. Right? They got catacombs everywhere. If you look under the Vatican, you got bones of humans stacked up. Why is they storing all these bones underground? It's ritualistic purposes. And when I say they came from Babylon, that's not their point of origin. That's their point of contact on Earth. When they came to Babylon on Mount Hermon, this is their point of contact on Earth. That's not where they originate. They don't originate nowhere. This is where the problem comes. They not native nowhere. That's why they don't have no homeland. They keep getting kicked out of everywhere.
I'm with you, Rod. I'm with you on they don't have but to me, the way these dudes do, then how they switch this map around. Mount Hermon is in California. It's called Santa. Go look it up. It's called the Santa Fade mountain range. And they came down out of that mountain range, these 200 fallen, or these Igigis who became the 200 fallen, they set up the city of Los Angeles. And they set up a school and started teaching the humans there. And
okay,
these students,
I'm gonna point something out to you.
Yeah.
When you go to the children of Cain and you look at the children of Seth, what do you notice? Every time Seth child got a name,
that's right.
His brother named the child that.
That's right.
What is it? What are they doing? That's called capturing a birthright. If you got a son and you are the rightful heir, and I'm a potential heir, I ain't the rightful heir, I'm a potential heir. Now, I want my son to take the birthright from your son. Your son name is Michael. My son name is Mikael. But when you write it on paper, phonetically, it's going to change in 100 years. People not going to pronounce it the same. They're going to probably not pronounce them exactly the same, but they slightly different. This is what they did. That's called setting up the mirrors. The mirrors is set up to confuse the ones that don't know. Right? That's why the last video Tupac made, he broke the freaking mirror. That's what that's about. They set the mirrors up to capture the birthright of the person that they did. This is where people come up with that term destiny swapping. That's where it comes from. But in the older times, it wasn't called destiny swapping. It was called taking of the head of the god. It didn't literally mean decapitating. You took his head by replacing him at the head of the table. This is why when you look at the Greek pantheon of gods, Hela is a female, but when you look at the Roman pantheon of God, Helen is a male. Right? Because they got to usurp. They have to set up the mirror to confuse the future posterity. We didn't, those biblically named cities, you can look up when they was chartered and named. They wasn't named that before 1492. And the stuff that had the tribal names, they had native tongue. The names was made with native tongue. It wasn't made with ancient Hebrew. Some of the native tongues phonetically is similar to ancient Hebrew. Right? Most of these terms that we getting out of the Bible is not even ancient Hebrew, it's modern Hebrew that was written after the Bible. In order to get a Bible, a backstory. They get a Bible, a backstory to set up a mirror to confuse the future. That's what's going on. That's why you're seeing mountain peaks with the same name on two different sides of the planet. You're seeing people coming from two different genetic stocks, but they call similar terms, as in Moors and Moors. They look phonetically, they the same thing. Linguistically, they're the same thing. Historically, they not. This is why you had to study. That's why Pops had to study etymology. He had to study the Semitic languages. He had to study all of the organized religions. We go through all three of these degrees of religion, right? Then some of us on our own, we end up in China, Japan, India doing research, right? Now, in modern times, we looking at stuff that happened 5,000, 10,000 years ago, but right now, it could be 1,000 years between two things that's say 10,000 years old. One thing 9,000 years old, one thing 10,000 years old. They close enough in time from where we at now to be grouped together. This is how they keep confusing us. When they put these two things from two different locations together, and then they wait. But they don't just wait passively, they continuously changing names along the way. So when you think you didn't trace it back to the root, which root are you at? Are you at the implanted root, or are you at the seed that grew the whole thing from the beginning. And that's where the confusion come in with. That's why it looked like we don't be knowing what we talk about when we say it's the difference between a Moor, M-O-R, and the Moors, M-U-U-R, because of the ability to transpose an idea on top of another idea, to transpose a group of people on top of another group of people. Right? Pale-faced Americans, they can't tell you if they French, Irish, or Spanish, or Yugoslavian, or Czechoslovakian unless they just got over here in the last 30 years. A few of them might be over here a little longer, might still say, well, when my great-grandfather came over on Ellis Island, we was Germans. Right? But the majority of them, they just know that they classified in America as some white folks. So their identity done been erased too. Right? Then when you look at when was these countries named, that's a whole nother animal now. Because you got all these different countries in Europe now. When you didn't have them in the BC period, you had major provinces ran by kings and emperors. Now they all neatly tucked in the lines of demarcation like they've been there the whole time. They haven't. America didn't always have states, right? But now we got 50-something states. Now, when we talk about a geographical area in America, we got to draw the state out that they gave us to name the place in order for it to make sense to anybody. Right? If I tell you I'm going to Chickamauga territory, you don't know what state that is till you know what state the Chickamauga Indians come from. We're part of the, that's why I told a long time to ask the Dirty Moors which tribe called themselves Moors and which tribe called themselves something else, and they got mad. That was just a simple question. What part of the land was the ones referring to themselves as Moors on versus the rest? Because we wasn't all one tribe. It's over 5,000 tribes. All of them didn't recognize nothing called Moor. Some of them might have recognized it, but all of them didn't. But if you can nail down the ones that identified in ancient times as Moor, they more influentially drawn to the term Moor because it sounds like what they came from. It's a trick. Roll the coin.
Yeah, now let me ask you this before I go. So first, there's really no language technically called Hebrew. The language is Syriac Arabic. All right, that's one. Two, they found tablets by the Michigan River that go back over 5,000 years. That's before 1492. That's in Syriac Arabic. Then they found
Ashuric. The Hebrew is what they call in Hebrew is Ashuric, and what they call in Arabic Syriac. But go ahead, I know what you're talking about. But remember,
because Hebrew
they don't
means
call
to cross over.
Right. They don't call the modern tongue ancient Hebrew. They call it modern Hebrew for a reason. They use the same characters, but they changed the value of the characters when they wrote the new language. Mm-hmm. Everything they do is they told us we can't have a breakfast program with the Black Panthers, and then they opened up a breakfast program at their school system. They told us we couldn't have step-down education. We had to put them in separate classrooms. And then what they do? They take you to college and give you step-down education because everybody in this university room, and then they applied their method to the understudies. They broke us up, right? And took over our education system, right? And then they gave us their school system. Everything we do, they stop us from doing it and rebrand it like they created it. They didn't make nothing. Ain't nothing new under the sun. Ain't nothing new under the sun. So this is why so many of us bump heads on stuff that it seemed like we should agree on, because it was deliberately slightly changed from the original in order to implant the substitute. You got a teacher named Mr. Wilson. He gets sick. And then they send you a substitute named Mr. Williams. in 20 years, you're going to be thinking about Mr. Williams' class, or was it Mr. Wilson's class? You see how it worked, man? Over time, things change, and it make your memories change with the times. So when they know what they're doing, because it's perfect psychology, because it worked too well. It worked too well not to know what they're doing. And that's one of the reasons why Baba drew us our attention to the children of Cain and the children of Seth having those similarities in their names, right? If you go through the genealogy of Jesus Christ and the two different genealogies they give, they're not the same genealogies. So which one right?
Hey, Rod, also, I thought you was finished. Go ahead.
Go ahead. They adding something though. The reason why they keep giving you two different genealogies because they adding another Jesus in there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's another thing. So yeah, it wasn't no Hebrew. That's the ones I believe. What's up? Well, that's a whole nother story. How they got the crossover thing. I believe they call these Moors when they got to Africa Hebrews because they crossed over the Great River. But another thing is that this was the Holy Land. This still is the Holy Land. That's what the real secret is. And we round these devils up, Yakub, because you said that they was in Africa. Africa really was in South America. That's where they had the experiment at, where they was creating these Yakub's drafted devil in Africa. So when we kicked them out of Egypt, out of the Holy Land, we kicked them from in America. We kicked these people out of America. That's in the
hieroglyphics in Mexico. This is where you get your prison stripes from. Mm-hmm. The prison stripes was designed to do the exact opposite of camouflage, to expose you on the terrain instead of allow you to conceal yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It got pictures of us dragging these people by their hair, busting them upside their head. Right now, in the modern lens in the narrative they gave us is those was for human sacrifice. It wasn't human sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They tell you that the Aztec king used to take people on top of the pyramid and slit their throat and pull their heart out and roll their heart down. That's all some made up Hollywood stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They executed criminals publicly, but they wouldn't use a pyramid for that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And most of the time, what they did was they gave them what they called a fighting chance. And this is where the Romans got their Colosseum idea from, over here. Because you give everybody a fighting chance. It's just what you got to fight depending on what you did. Some of y'all got to fight a German Shepherd and somebody got to fight a lion. Somebody else got to fight a bear. Somebody else got to fight a tiger, depending on what they did. Right? So the reasons we was kicking them out was the same thing. Right? We think this all stuff is new. Ain't none of this stuff new. This been going on for at least 6,000 years, minimum. I'm thinking more like 8,400 years.
Yeah, that's what Doc. It's the number that Doc I think put on.
Right. So when we looking back at it, we can be saying, okay, you got to always, when you reading something, saying, is this to deceive me or is it to clear up my vision? When you start asking yourself that question during your studies, then the deception starts to leak out. So you got what's called a Indo-European and a Neo-European. You got something what's called a Paleo-European. Paleo means before 10,500 BC. What they call antediluvian. Right? So they got all of these different terms. Neo means new. Indo means old. Paleo means ancient. Right? So they confuse us by overlapping stuff. It's just like right now, we think that the royal family in India is the Aryan. He not the Aryan. The Aryan walking around looking like the damn Jackson 5s in the 1970s. Them the real Aryans. That's the real royal bloodline that belong over there. But remember, everything was flipped upside down. When Enlil get here, he put his children in charge.
Hindustan.
And that's why that whole chapter in the tablets is telling you about the avatars in the Vimanis Wars. That's why it's in there. Because it's showing you where they pulling rank at, where they switching people out at. And the caste system in India, it's the most ridiculous thing I ever seen. How is the priest class gonna have priests if they don't have wives? And they got their own class. That means they got to recruit from the other classes, right? And so you have the real ones like Sai Baba with the power. They didn't been made mockery of, and then they give you somebody else and tell you they was a great soul, right? But the real great soul, that he's just somebody minor to them. And when you look at him, you can tell by the picture, oh, that's why. It's the switch. This is why with so much confusion, because it was intended to be confusing. And the more meticulous you is, when you're looking at it, you start to see the cracks in what they told us versus what they showed us.
Hey, Rod, before I roll this next clip, I don't know if you remember that clip that I couldn't find the clip, man. It was a white dude that came on and said they found Felician artifacts and stuff inside of this cave. I think it was in Utah and in Illinois. We already know about the King Tuts and all that, the Kentucky and all that, right? But I'm talking about they had found these 30,000-year-old Felician artifacts. And then I found out the Felicians connect with the Shinnecock people and the Watusi people and the Afar people, right? So I'm going to roll these next clips, and then I'm going to get to my next question. Roll these
the
next
Phoenicians
clips.
were remarkable seafarers and traders, dominating the Mediterranean from around 1500 BC to 300 BC. Imagine a civilization that invented the alphabet. This innovation laid the groundwork for modern writing systems. Their cities, like Tyre and Sidon, were bustling hubs of commerce. They traded goods like purple dye, glass, and cedarwood, making them incredibly wealthy. But it wasn't just trade. They were also skilled shipbuilders, crafting vessels that sailed far and wide. The Phoenicians were known for their adventurous spirit. They ventured beyond the Mediterranean, reaching the shores of Britain and possibly even North America. Can you believe that? Their maritime prowess allowed them to establish colonies across the Mediterranean, spreading their culture and influence. Religion played a significant role in their lives, with gods like Balol and Astarte guiding their beliefs. Their rich mythology and art still inspire us today. The Phoenicians may not be as famous as the Greeks or Romans, but their legacy is profound. They shaped trade, navigation, and even our written language. The echoes of their
The Moors are not from Morocco. The Greek Plato said that the Moors were from the Americas. Plato states that the Moors were America's royal bloodline, its rulers and indigenous peoples. But because of their war with the Moors in the Eastern Hemisphere, they sent their mightiest kings and soldiers to defeat the East. Plato also mentioned that a group of those Moors moved from the Americas and established Morocco in North Africa. But remember, Plato received his history from the Greek Solon, and Solon received this history from the high priests of ancient Kemet. So it is from them that we have learned that the homeland of the Moors is not Morocco or Africa, but America. Thank you to the ancient Kemetic high priests for this accurate history, and thank you to the ancient Greeks for preserving this ancient Moorish history. Because of them, we now have a chance to know that
when we talk about the Illuminati and all that, matter of fact, let me tell you exactly who this is. You can research these people and you'll see what I'm saying. From Ignatius Loyola, he had a person with him named Contalini. Contalini was the one who basically canonized the idea that there is no spirit outside the body. So when the spirit only exists on earth, therefore there is no actual need to be redeemed, because the redemption comes because you cannot be redeemed, because the redemption of the soul is based upon the releasing of the soul. But once the soul is released, it don't exist. So we need to control and Europeize or whatever the world now. So they got to get rid of that, because they want to create the aspect of technological advance without creativity. So imagine being able to create something with no joy of the creation after you've done it. You just now go and use it exactly what it's for. Cold, sterile, pedantic. This is what they want.
Hey, no, really, based on the last two clips about the Felicians, Raw. This is what I think, and you could tell me what you think. Like I say, I'm just taking in perspectives. Right now, based on all the information that we've done so far, with the artifacts that they hide in the Smithsonian Institute, I'm thinking that Tahuti was over here and he started the alphabets and all that. That's what ties into the Felicians. He was teaching over here first. And that he set up all these schools to start teaching these. And then I believe that these Felicians, because they got that artifact 30,000 years ago. It go back 30. They don't even really know. They saying 30,000. That's what all we can think. That's all we can machine can test. But I'm thinking these guys built boats. Some of them were bad guys or infiltrated these other guys, and then we rounded them guys up, the Yakub guys, kicked them out because in their story they talk about being exiled by their own people, and that's why they came back to do us, because they feel like, oh, since y'all exiled us, y'all don't care about us, we're gonna come back and do y'all in the long run. We're gonna pay y'all back. It's like a payback or kick you in the balls type of thing. But this is the thing, those children connect with the 200 fallen, like I said, with them being in California, because they really switched. Yeah, go ahead.
Go back to the Emerald Tablets.
Okay.
Who do Thoth say that he was born with in the Emerald Tablets?
I think I remember him saying the Brothers of the Darkness. Now, the Brothers of the Darkness is one thing.
The Dark Brothers.
Yeah.
They call themselves the Dark Brothers. It was the brotherhood that usurped Atlantis.
Okay.
The capital of Atlantis was the Kemetic complex in Arizona that we call the Grand Canyon.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. Everybody think a meteor hit the Grand Canyon. When a meteor was a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, the plutonium.
No. And it's the same with right now under the ocean in the Gulf. A meteor hit there too, but it was actually a bomb. Mm-hmm. Then in the Amazon forest, it's another crater from another bomb, but that one was grown in by the trees because it wasn't radioactive. Mm-hmm. Then you have the all of that glass in West Africa from bombs. We keep letting these people tell us it was meteor showers, and most of the position of the Earth, we don't meet most of the meteors. That we don't get to see them.
Right. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, y'all. If you're new to the channel, man, we about to get lit. You know how me and Chief do it. We going back. This is the bill. This is the bill, baby. We're gonna get to y'all questions in a minute. We got so many clips, though. Go ahead, Roy.
Yeah, so I forgot where I was at, Elder.
You was at talking about shit because your phone started ringing.
Talking about the Dark Brothers.
Yeah, Dark Brothers, Tahuti, yeah.
Right. Now, remember, in the Emerald Tablets, he said, my father, the Great One, right, told me to take my ship and raise my ship and go to the east and settle in the land of the hairy barbarian. So he went over there and he said, and it was with my magic that I subdued the hairy barbarian. He was talking about technology, right? He was talking about the same thing they use on Maduro, the discombobulator, Tahuti tech. They got that out the pyramids in Egypt, right? It's to keep everybody disoriented, right? Anyway, so they tell you in there that he was fighting the Dark Brothers, and they say that the Emerald Tablets is about 60,000 years old, right? Now, he said that in the future, in the distant future, I will return to finish off these dark brothers. And now, so the war started in Atlantis. Atlantis is crumbling when he leaves. When Atlantis is crumbling under the warfare, his father sent him to go set up Kemet, but he didn't just set up Kemet. Right? They sent delegations of priests to different places around the world. They sent them to South America, they sent them to India, but these were already established temples.
That's right.
Right? They had the mountain temples in Japan. Right? And in China, they had rolling hills and they built pyramids with ricotta armies because they all ascending into the future. Right? The Terracotta Army is sending into the future the army to fight the Dark Brotherhood. Now, the wars in the pyramids it culminated at the 18th dynasty. The Amun priests, who don't want the gods known to the regular mortals, and the Atean priests say you can't be an effective god if you hidden, if you in secret. The Amun priests say my secrets can hold them under control way longer than your revelations of truth. Right? So this causes the war with the priesthood. Now remember, at this time, the priest is the harem. Wasn't no male priest yet. The males was raised up not as priests, but as statesmen. They was taught royal etiquette. They was taught combat skills. They was taught military strategy. And the women was taught all of the Heka. Right? Now, when the only one male who can learn from both the male priests, warriors, and the female Magi, he would be the one who is the rightful heir to ascend to sit next to the woman on the sacerdotal seat as her consort. She, in turn, becomes Pharaoh. Pharaoh means the lady that liked the house. She is the center of attention in the house. The person that sits is actually, the seat is called Aseer. Right? We know this Aseer to mean Isis. Isis is a title of the seat of a sacerdotal seat. Inanna is the title of a seat of a sacerdotal seat. Vatica is the title of a seat, a sacerdotal seat. Sophia is the title of a sacerdotal seat. Different eras, the same function. 12 daughters of Isis represent the grid of the 12 regions of the earth that it was originally broke up in. And then the 13th seat was held by whatever one of them earlier ones I mentioned. The sisterhood became known as the priestesses of Delphi, the daughters of Mami Water, the sisters of Oshun, the sisters of Isis, the daughters of Isis, the herd of Heru or Hathor, right? The goddesses of Bastet and Sekhmet. All of those were sisterhoods. And the males were the ones designed to protect everything and to go out and on the hunt to bring back the meat. And the women stayed sedentary to raise the vegetables and stuff on the farm because she's more likely to, if she's pregnant, she can't go out on the hunt. She got to stay behind. So they started letting the women stay and do what they call agriculture, horticulture, aquaculture, depending on where they was at. And these things is where you get to the evolution of different systems of taking care of the land, taking care of the family, right? These systems became governments over time. The most effective system is the one that can govern the most people. The system that governs the most people effectively is called the Tablets of Destiny. The Tablets of Destiny tell you how to control billions of people and make sure everybody's needs is met. But the problem is there's a caveat in there, right? It tell you that if the temperament of the people are hostile, then you can't use benevolence to control them. And you have to resort to a wickedness that they could not bear to stand to watch. And this is why Elijah Muhammad said, the wickedest you can think this devil is, you haven't even cracked the surface of his wickedness.
Right. The largest I did, so did. Hey, I got one. Hey, look, let's roll a coin. I got so many clips. But let's roll some of the clips up where the Duke is saying some of the things Rod been saying. I got a couple questions off of it.
Okay.
Because it's fake. Everything they telling us historically is fake. It's not real. Look, this is the father. This is the nigga that wrote. This is where the word Negro come from. Again, and all of these are copyrighted words. So you got to understand that the reason why the white man could lock you up for saying that you could cure cancer and you could cure herpes and you could cure all of these different things, even if you can do it, it's not because you can do it. It's because you're using those words to describe what you're going to cure. And that's the problem. He has a patent and a copyright on those words. So when you use those words, he's really coming at you for copyright infringement, which you did by using those words. So if you want to cure cancer, you can't use the word cancer to cure it. You got to use the basic understanding of what cancer is, you see, and talk about curing that. He can't do nothing with that. This is the father of Afrocentrism. This is the first generation of so-called blacks given this anthropological idea of coming out of Africa theory and all this other shit coming to you from a Jew, from a Jewish person. Another Jewish person telling you about your history. When these niggas when we just read about Salisbury, and it says that they had no knowledge of what plantation life and none of that shit was really like.
All right, so yeah, here's the one right here, Rod. So the Duke is saying that this dude Nathan Salisbury and Bill, what his name is, Bill, the dude that was the actor up in doing all the acting. When they was doing all this acting, that they staged this slave narrative then that nobody even knew. Remember on the last tape we did where I played those clips about the roots, where they said we don't know nothing about we just first seeing Africans, and we really don't know nothing about no slave like that. Like they really was working on their own land, sharecropping on their own land. But the out of Africa theory, he's saying that the out of Africa theory was created during this Nathan Salisbury, which later created I guess some kind of connection with the Salisbury steak, and why African Americans is labeled as a food product or something like that. I think the Duke was talking about. But my question is about could you go in on it, because Duke's saying that the out of Africa theory, just like you saying, is a false narrative.
It is. But remember, the viewpoint is Eurocentric. The father of European history is called Herodotus. The map is centered on Europe. That's the world we live in right now. The false narrative, remember, that's why I tell you about the paperwork. They got a patent on all of the paperwork. They got a patent on the notices. Right? So the only way you can bypass, you have to go back to an ancient way of living, oral tradition.
Yeah.
Right? And then you got to show the fraud that they committed. This is what Aseer is doing. Aseer is doing. He's showing you where they coming up with these false narratives, and the face that they put on it is not necessarily the source. If you don't know what a cat's paw is, you won't understand what is being done. Right? That's why we told you about the origin of the KKK. Right? Because if you don't know where it came from, you can't put all this stuff back together. When
I
you
got
put
that
it back
receipt.
together, right? And when you put it back together, you putting it back together in everybody's face, and they looking at it, they're like, "Wait a minute, that shit matched too good for it to be off." So oh man, it feels so good to review somebody from the Moorish community that know what they talking about. That's not just going by the temple dogma. They're going by the facts. Right? Now remember, they got to give us an educational system, because the second thing to control in the alphabetical order after economics is education. If they don't control the educational system, they can't miseducate you. Right? If there will be no miseducation of the Negro if they don't get control of our educational processes. That's why they stopped us from learning to read and write. And start killing the ones who knew how to read and write to try to stop us from teaching it. It had nothing to do with being no slave. We was prisoners of war. Right? So when they was doing it, they was overwriting, is what it's called. Overwriting the system with what's called in the espionage world, it's called a cutout. A cutout is a false identity that's given to an operative to confuse the people he's finna go and subvert, infiltrate, spy on, surveil, agitate, right? So before he got to get an identity that's suitable for the purposes. If you any of those secret agent movies, you always see when he go undercover, he's pretending to be somebody from somewhere with a certain connection. But he a spy the whole time, whether it's James Bond, Goldfinger, which the spy who shagged me, no matter what spy movie you watch, they show you what the cutout is. If you watch Jason Bourne, they go into how they can switch the personality out for the other personality, and he got a passport already for the other personality.
MK Ultra. Yep.
Which MK Ultra is the implanting the personalities. Then MK Ultra was given to the U.S. military by Dr. Esther Brooks. Esther Brooks was the one they taught them how to hypnotize somebody, give them a message they want delivered, bring them out of hypnosis, and give the person who they want to receive the message the keyword. The keyword makes the person that's under hypnosis go back into trance, give the message, and snap out the trance, and he don't never know what happened.
Yeah.
Roy Masters, a former stage hypnotist turned Christian minister, got a book called Hypnosis of Life. And the most powerful thing I read in that book is no hypnotized person under hypnosis is aware of the fact that he's hypnotized while he's hypnotized.
That's deep.
Okay, now you can turn it on and turn it off. This is how you can make a person act like a chicken. And he had no memory of it at all. Stage hypnosis. Stage hypnosis was designed to create performance art based on the ancient science of hypnosis that we've been doing for thousands of years to clear out psychic traumas. That's what it originated from, right? Once you understand how the mind works, you can help people, but you can also hurt people. And that's why the original Hippocratic Oath say, first do no harm. First do no harm. But you got to remember, the Hippocratic Oath is an oath of Apollo. That means it's a lie. The real father of medicine was Imhotep.
That's right.
Right?
Herodotus. We're talking about Herodotus. Yeah.
So Imhotep had medical journals in Kemet before Greece was even an inkling of an imagination. And they had been practicing the medicine of Imhotep for thousands of years, but today we call it naturopathic medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, holistic medicine. But it's not even medicine. It's the science of life, of maintaining stasis, homeostasis, meaning the perpetual state of balance. The more you can hold the physical body into a state of balance, the slower it age, which equates on the mathematical scale to longevity. But when you look at the first pre-dynastic Kemet, now you're talking about the what's called Septepi, the forever time, or the time before the beginning. Right? So now you're looking at people that's living 130,000 years, 150,000 years. Well, what is the definition of a year? Right? Now, biblically, it tells you that one day to God is as 1,000 years. So that means 1 year is 365,000 years. You see? So when you looking at it from that lens, now you seeing they telling you about a time before we was under the lockdown, because you didn't have the fluctuations of energy that causes the entropy that results in the decay. Right? And by turning the mitochondria down to minimal, right, reducing the telomeres, right, and inserting what's called a human aging hormone, you can modulate those three and set the age that you want to live. Most of us don't know that you can rebuild the sheave of the chromosomes, and the easiest way to do it is to max out your mitochondria. But you can't max out your mitochondria unless you do something called fall in love. That's some crazy stuff, ain't it? Because the energy required comes from the love frequency that raises the mitochondrial to its maximum expression. What does the mitochondria do? It translates energy to the genome at the center of the cell. So without the mitochondria, there's no fuel system for DNA. Right? What is DNA made out of? It's made out of crystalline amino acids. So what do crystals do? They reflect and refract light. The color of the crystal and the shape of the crystal determines how it's going to interpret the frequency that's coming in from the light. Right? When you go through your DNA replication, where you separate the DNA into two RNA strands, sometimes the pieces of the RNA strand break off, and when it recombine with another cell, it's missing. Then that little missing piece is now in your bloodstream called a free radical. The free radical is oxidative stress to the body, which causes the rusting, which causes the aging, or it shows up in the physical expression as aging. Right? It's separate from the hair turning gray. The hair turning gray is a TN deficiency reaching the hair follicle in order for the melanin potential to express itself in the hair follicle. Right? There's certain stuff you can do to stimulate the reconnection of the TN in the body back to the melanin in the follicle in order for the gray to fade away. Right? Sometimes it's food you can eat, and then sometimes it's topical stuff that you can put on the skin that makes the skin more healthy, and it'll eventually take away the gray. Right? So we have to be aware of all of this stuff when we putting the puzzle back together.
Hey, Rod. So let me go ahead because I got some clips, man. I got to get these clips off. We get close to time. All right.
Whole idea of the coming out of Africa theory and all this other shit coming to you from a Jew, from a Jewish person. Another Jewish person telling you about your history. When these niggas when we just read about Salisbury, and it says that they had no knowledge of what plantation life and none of that shit was really like. We just read it. Because if they did, they would be able to speak about it accurately, but they can't. So
these people just ain't come from nowhere.
But his name is Colon, and so in Spanish we have it right, Cristobal Colon. So his real name is Salvador Zarco. All right, but now recently we've discovered that Christopher Columbus, Cristobal Colon, was known as a quote-unquote Marrano. Marrano? The Marranos are those that were forced to convert to Roman Catholicism. Well, the Sephardim, the Jews, okay.
The KKK is nothing but a bastardized extension of Moorish masonry stolen directly from your ancestral archetype. They didn't even invent the name Ku Klux Klan. It's a stolen acronym for Kukulkan, the feathered serpent deity worshipped by the Moorish people of the Yucatan long before Jesuit assassins co-opted that draconian magic. Those white robes and conical hoods came straight from the Negro Order of the Knights of Seville in Spain, as documented in J.A. Rogers' 100 Amazing Facts About the Negro. You see those Holy Week processions in Spain today? That is Caucasians dressing as Moorish penitents because they inherited all of that from the Moors who ruled them for 700 years. Even the chasing of the bulls in Spain is a ritual mockery. The Moor represents the bull being chased out of Spain, a celebration of your deposition disguised as sport. It's the same with the swarthy Pete, Zwarte Piet ritual, which is a reminiscent memory of the Moors bringing the gift of life to Europeans dying in the dark caves. They dress in blackface to celebrate you not existing while they parade in your ancestral habits. The white man is just an imitator who inherited those priestly habits to terrorize dead Moors. Kanye West wearing those black KKK hoods isn't an accident. He is a Gemini wild card acting out a Masonic ritual in the same bed as Donald Trump, signaling the total collapse of the corporate United States and disclosing that the original order was melanated. Even Tupac knew the truth. He called himself Machiavelli because he knew about the Venetian oligarchy and the demonic sigils like the Tupac EP or EpiPen used to trap your soul force in an ethereal bloodchain net of adrenochrome-backed cryptocurrency that is currently being exposed to masses through the Epstein files. So let's cut the nonsense. The movie Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire shows Death Eaters wearing these conical hoods to represent occult Moorish magic. But Hollywood turns it evil once again to make you run from your own power. The system turned the priestly garments of our ancestors into the witch's hat.
Who is the Pope? He is the Emperor of Rome. Rome never died, never faded away. It became the Vatican. What is the Vatican? It is the priesthood of all of the old pagan religions of Rome, built upon the deception that they are Christian. Can man change the orders of God? Can man elevate himself above God? No. Then why did the Pope?
Where did it begin? We have the records of the people being brought over there, the plans, we got the papal bull, we got everything to show you it happened in reverse. Again, they were bringing ships loaded with herds of cattle, and these ships were going back where? On the return journey back where? To Europe. Back to Europe with what? With slaves. Where did they get these slaves? Where were they? They were in America, not Africa. These same slaves would be sold all over the world from there. Seville, Lisbon, places like that, Castile were slave markets, huge slave markets. Go do the research during those times so you can see what I'm talking about. And you can see that when they were bringing these so-called Indians, right? Your ancestors.
They called it a riot. But what really happened in Salisbury, North Carolina was a...
I said was the body. The sanctum sanctorium, the sacred place, is the spinal cord itself. Inadvertently, it is the vertebrae, because the spinal cord is inside the vertebrae. And Hiram Abiff as the seminal fluid, the vita libra. When he dies at the east gate, he's born to the spiritual nature. So he travels up the spinal cord in the sanctum sanctorium. Okay? The reason I'm explaining that, because you're going to do that yourself. Okay? You don't have to be a Mason to do that. And as I mentioned, I'm making an effort, not disrespectfully, but for the intent.
African American trademark filed in the category of meat and processed food products.
You could look up this trademark right here for African American. The African American trademark was assigned a serial number 869-79951 by the United States Patent Office. I think the dude's name is Charles M. Young. Look, the African American mark is filed in the category of meats and processed food products. You heard that? The African American trademark is filed in the same category as meats and processed food products.
In 1452, a pivotal document emerged from the papacy, Dum Diversas. This bull, issued by Pope Nicholas V, played a crucial role in shaping the course of European colonial expansion. It granted Portugal the authority to conquer and subjugate non-Christian territories, effectively legitimizing their imperial ambitions. Dum Diversas is significant because it marked a turning point in the relationship between religion and colonialism. By intertwining the two, the papacy provided a moral justification for the exploitation and enslavement of indigenous peoples. This document set a precedent for future papal bulls, reinforcing the idea that non-Christian lands were open for European domination. The implications of Dum Diversas were far-reaching. It fueled the Age of Discovery, enabling Portugal to establish a vast empire in Africa and Asia. The bull not only impacted political dynamics, but also laid the groundwork for centuries of colonialism that would follow, affecting millions of lives across continents. Critics argue that this document embodies the darker aspects of religious influence.
I said was the body, the sanctum sanctorium.
Missing the obvious. Did you know that at that conference in 1928 in Havana, Cuba, the Great Convention of the Americas, everybody from North Central South America, from Alaska, from Alaska all the way to Peru, Amaru. Do you know, and the Caribbean islands, the joining Caribbean islands, do you know that at that same conference, Noble Joe Ali and CM Bay, who was a polyglot, he was his translator, which means that nobody could speak no language around Noble Joe Ali without CM Bay being able to peep game and say what it was, because he was a polyglot, which means he spoke over 90 languages. Did you even name 90 languages? You understand? And he was a Rosicrucian. Why? Because the order of the Rosy Cross was based off of the order of the Sufic order of the Rose that was founded by the Marabou Moors and was brought into Europa by Sir Francis Bacon.
American Indian Record Repository, Lenexa, Kansas. That's where you need to go. That's where your land patents are at. That's where your family shit is at. You want to know? BLM and GLO have been flooded. The websites have been down several times this November of last year till now. You from the South, the Mid-South? Go there. Request your records for your family. You know your grandfather. You know your great-grandfather. You know your great-great-grandfather. Hell, a lot of us know our great-great-great-great-grandfather. Do the work. They're going to show you your land patents. They also know the lineage. Remind you, those birth certificates that say African American, colored, and Negro, they know who you are. You were dead on paper so they could keep drawing money off of you, but you're an American Indian. That's just all it is. Ain't nobody on this planet been more reclassified than us. You're an American Indian, baby. You got the privilege of having.
Hey, yeah, Ross, I got a couple. I just wanted to roll a whole bunch of them. I got a couple questions. My first question is about I heard that because you've been saying we don't need no paperwork, and I've been saying, damn man, I don't know, Rod. Like I'm with Rod because I know Rod be saying some shit that he be already done thought it out already so many times the way he came to that conclusion saying we don't need no paperwork. So I heard.
Remember a little while ago, I said they got a copyright on all the paperwork.
Yeah. Let me
That's
say
why
this.
we
Let me
get-
say this. Let me say this to add to. Then you can go in because the Duke said on a clip, and you can go. Y'all can go back and roll it on the highlight films I just put out yesterday. He said that Noble Drew Ali didn't even really use paperwork to do nothing he was doing, and I'm saying what?
I told
He said
you.
Noble Drew Ali wasn't using no paperwork. Go ahead.
Noble Drew Ali would go. He would send a grand sheet if one of his people was in their custody. He didn't send them with no paperwork. He just told them what to tell them.
All tradition.
Right now, when the underminers got into the temple, though, when the Dirty Moors got into the temple, they changed the status of the temple by changing. Somebody signed the contract, and it's gonna come out who was signed the contract to work for the government. Right? That's all gonna come out. Noble Drew Ali didn't need paperwork. His grand sheiks that was immediately under him didn't need no paperwork. But he identified for the student Moors, the studious Moors, he identified the traders that walked next to him. I ain't gonna get into that because that's really not my house to clean up. We just here right now because we putting this in the public domain on the behalf of Angel Bay in order for us to show that it's not all Moors. Angel Bay don't want the conflict and the religious controversy no more. So the ones who's been doing right, we got to stand and bear witness to the truth. But the dirty Moors, the righteous Moors gonna come for them. Because they're gonna realize how their information got tampered with and who did it. Because they all of them they signed names on paper. Once you know who did it, then you understand who we was fighting. Right? So the infiltrators got to be exposed, but also Angel Bay don't want us fighting each other without knowing who the enemy is. The real enemy, not the pretend enemy. Not the enemy they told us was our enemy, the enemy that's our real enemy. So he got to say, hey, this is getting too out of hand. I need y'all to go out here and show the difference between how the righteous Moors teach and what the context, the substance of what they teach versus the dogma and the rage that come with the dirty Moors being exposed. The dirty Moor don't want to be exposed because he can't do his dirt in the light. The righteous Moor is putting his heart on the line. He wears heart on his sleeve. Hakeem Bey. Right? He just showed you seeing Bey with Noble Drew Ali. Right? And the list goes on. We got Taj. Right? It's a lot of them. Pleasant Bay. It's a lot of them that gave us this information.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of them that gave us this information on the righteous side. But for every one of them, there was a evil, wicked, dirty Moor trying to get their ass dead. So we say in Chicago, when you hear the boys say Stone Run It, that's because once the recovery of the flag of the Bays, because that's what Angel Baden had sent me to do. Show the world the flag of the Bays so I can get my power back. That's Saturday with D-Dale.
I can't wait to see that. That's gonna be a fire one.
Right. I've been asking Moors for the longest, and then it started a whole lot of conflict. Where's the flag of the Bays? The L's was the lawgivers. The Bays is the governors of the land. If there is no flag of the Bays, the land is not being governed. It's being levied. Levi. Usurped. So now we moving into the place where the righteous more gonna say, oh man, I thought that nigga was crazy. Now I see what he talking about.
Yeah.
Right? Now it start to come in to one lens. All of the different factions start to get focused on one central point of truth. And on two sides, you're going to have us on one side and the enemy on the other side. And believe me, it's going to be food for the big dogs. We going to get some get back.
Oh, yeah.
But the one responsible to organize the resistance on the land, he's held in captivity. So we got to use the system that we have to break him out with the truth in the name of love.
Hey, I got one more clip. I got one more clip I need to roll. I got a whole bunch of clips that we can keep going over. But I want to roll this one clip because I think it's a good clip to go over. Cause I got a whole bunch of shit with the Duke, but this one right here is when the Duke say he shut down the courts. I thought this was interesting when he shut down the administrative courts, because we already found out that every court under Supreme Courts pretty much is administrative court, and they only there to enforce contracts, and their judges is only referees. They're not magistrates, and none of that. They only referees. Middleman, huh? Go ahead.
ALJ, administrative law judges.
Yeah.
Right.
You already exposed there. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not the court of original jurisdiction, them tribal courts. But because they overreaching tribals, they like disregarding us, like we ain't here.
Yeah.
We here.
Belligerent.
We never lost our infrastructure. They just laid theirs on top of ours. Right. So we've been operating as the tribes always do on the land. And every time that we start getting to the point where we can get rid of them, that leader right there, strike the shepherd, scatter the flock.
Yeah.
Once you scatter the flock, you can dip the sheep.
Yeah.
You know what sheep dipping is, right? It's a military term. You ever heard of it?
Yeah, I think I heard you say something about it before. It's some kind of tactic that they use.
Right. So when one part of the military need a specialist, they can sheep dip a specialist from another department. When they scatter the people from under a leader, they looking for the ones that have particular skills. Either they the writers, the speakers, and that's when they offer them the contract they can't refuse. That's when they go, that's because they killed the leader. The strength of the collective is broken. So now they can go find out, where's your strongest support in combat? Where's your strongest support in education? Where's your strongest support in healthcare? Where's your strongest support in military strategy? Who your ride or die? Are they thinkers or are they actors? Are they active or are they reactionary? So once we start seeing, you got to know where your dog at in every fight. Right? And sometimes the dog be so into the fight, before he realizes he bit your ass. And then when he realized who he bit, he be like, oh man, Oh man, I ain't mean to bite him.
That's funny.
Right? So it's the same thing. It's the same principle at play. Control both sides of the story. Control both sides of the narrative. But when they can't control both sides of the narrative, now they got to figure out, how can I sheep dip from the old broken system the best pieces to build my system over here? It's the same thing with the breakfast program. It's the same thing I'm talking about. I'm going to stop you from doing it. I'm going to take your leadership out the game, stop you from doing it, right? And then I'm going to do it as if I came up with it.
Yeah.
So that's to control the narrative and to confuse the narrative at the same time.
All right, here we go. Let's roll that clip. Let's roll that clip.
I'm glad to be in your presence. I'm a secured party creditor, declaring my appellation name with the UCC and a non-UC filing, living, collapsing, and controlling the trust. Our brothers are in these Albion dark magic courts, and your last question kind of segues into what I'm doing now, which is trying to crush the courts and the dark magic with the Magi's in all these administrative venues. Has any one of you have made an effort to integrate the metaphysics of Phil Valentine with what you're doing at Aseer in crushing him with paperwork, as also coaching and navigating through these systems and controlling our vessel, because we're forced and compelled for the birth certificate theft of the Sesame Trust and the Mortmain Act, as well as the various collapsing of the federal debt and HR 192. I can go on and on. But is there any type of manifestation or integration of the metaphysics so we can have Noble Drew Ali, his declaration of the 10-10-59 in Cook County, and integrate it in the paperwork so we can get all our brothers and sisters out of these crooked, false, magic administrations, though?
Paperwork. Okay, paper come from trees. So in the end, we're really talking about an integration of something natural turned into a flat surface, right? In which now people are trying to diametrically put themselves onto it. But that's what they did to you. Quick story. I was getting beat up in court. I maybe told it before, long time ago, taken to court for things or whatever. And I was in the process of that for maybe 5 years. By the first 2 years, I was getting beat up. By the third year, I realized that this whole thing is not even real. Like, as real as it was, what made it real was my intention in it. And my intention in it was to stop them from attacking me and taking what I felt was mine. But once I realized that they could not take anything from me that I did not give them, then it became a different flow. And so I started to understand that the paperwork is really just a vehicle that really had nothing to even do with what's on the paper. I started to get like the Seal of Solomon, because I realized that a lot of people that's processing this paperwork is Ashkenazim Jews. So if that's the case, then they're part of the B'nai B'rith, and then from there they're part of the other so-called orders that they deal with. And when I realized that, I said, well, there's binding sigils that our ancestors created that I could use as watermarks on my paperwork. I'm gonna start using that. Then I started saying, well, you know what? If that's the case in that work, then why don't I start doing other things and really going in there in my proper self? So I started at the time, if y'all remember, I used to wear a lot of feathers in my hair when I was growing it out. So one day I went with all black raven feathers, right? And I had on a whole, like, you know when the mobsters wear the black trench coat over they right? So I went in there with that, with the medals and all of that. And went in there, put a little obelisk on the desk, gave him my paperwork, and every time the judge spoke, I spinned it. What started to happen was he started stuttering, he started drooling, the computer started to malfunction, right? And then the next time I went into court, the court was packed just like this, but it was just for me. So then I started to realize, oh, they're sending the boys in. So let's really take it up, because now I want to see what I can do. Because now I realize that the magic is really me, that these people is trying to take something from me that they could never control. So it got to the point, to make a long story shorter, it got to the point that I created what was called a letter of rogatory, based on a rite of avizandum. This is where Moorish science comes in, because true Moorish science is the study of self.
And what Noble Joe Ali basically brought, he was the first one talking us that we was already here. And in the process of realizing that, I started to actualize the actual paperwork and started to reduce all the statutory language and just started to speak in what they call the King's English, which is the language that our ancestors spoke here. So when they would ask me questions, so one time the judge asked me a question and I just responded to him in Latin. I said, "Qui cumalio contrahit vel es vel ebe debit non ignoros contradictos ellos," which means he who enters into a contract either has to be aware or ought not be aware of the origin of the contract. Once I did that, brothers and sisters, and gave them the paperwork and hit it with that little rogatory that basically let them know, I know the jig is up, I'm the judge, I'm the magi, and I expect you to release this bond to me by the next joint, or I'm gonna put a whole lien on the building. When I went to the court the next time, they chained the door. They called my name, went to the door was changed. I had to sneak into the court behind. Then when I got into the court, the judge wasn't even on the bench. He didn't even show up. They sent a little old white lady, little clerk lady out in the back and asked what I wanted to do. I said, "Well, this is dismissed." Pointed down on the ring. I said, "It's dismissed." And because he didn't show up and do what he's supposed to do, I'm going to follow through with the action. Follow through with the action. 3 months after that, went back down to the court. The court building closed. Right here, 284 Adams Street. Look it up. I went in there. The court building closed. They said they had to close it for rats. And then they moved it across the street to the new fabricated building they built up in the process of all of this happening. So I still hold the lien on that. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm trying to say I did this with no UCC, with no statutory language, with no preconceived notion other than what I manifested out of myself to do so. And from that point, that's when I realized the way out is the way in. Noble Joe Ali said, "I'm going to leave this European around long enough to show you how to run a government." And so that's what we did. And we have been working to establish that since for a while, and it's been working. And the more we're doing ourselves, the more it's the total opposite. So I appreciate what you're saying, brother, but like our illustrious doctor told us, eventually none of that stuff gonna matter. How are you able to articulate all of what you said without saying it like that? That's the question. Here you go.
So Rod, man, that's a fine. Hey, that boy Duke bad, man. He's in there talking. He speak Latin. I'm about to get into that. I'm gonna study more on the Duke, but he shut the court down just like you said, with no paperwork, none of that UCC, because they was talking about we got to do UCC, we got to do all this, and he even was saying something about national. I'm speaking against nationalizing a little bit. In a way, I got to really re-listen to that tape where he was talking about nationalizing.
He letting you know about the power of self.
Go ahead, Rod.
And the science is this: I, self, Lord, and Master. The power of self rests on the I. The I represents the third eye. To actualize the knowledge of self, you see, when he began to use the sigils, he began to affect the energy field, right? He sunk a battleship. When the judge failed to show up, that's the same as the captain abandoning ship. That's how he still owned the lien. He owned that. That's his, whether he know it or don't know it. He claimed it. That's why they had to move. They had to get off his stuff because he didn't want to play their game. It's beyond paperwork. The paperwork is a paper chain. That's the Luciferian doctrine of control. But I don't mean Luciferian and light bearer, right? I'm talking about Apollo, Apollyon, the destroyer, right? The Statue of Liberty. The drag queen, the one who's dressed up like the righteous one and all the time he the fraud, the cross-dressing priests, masquerading as the mothers on the land in order to usurp the authority of the rightful heirs. He stood in his power, by using his ancestral instincts. And this energy field began to collapse that they was trying to use to capture him as if he was a straw man. By him using the metaphysics, he was able to create the condition where the judge abandoned ship. He's the captain of the ship. The first mate is the one who really run the ship, is the clerk. Right? The captain steer the ship, the clerk run the ship. Clerk is called the first mate. Right? Mate mean the other half of you. So when you thinking that the captain, the reason he ain't supposed to abandon ship because he had to steer you out of the troubled waters. With no captain, the ship left her rudder alone and run ashore. By him creating that condition in the energetic field, he broke through the George Washington conjure and realized they trying to take something from me that I never offered to give them.
Fire. Go ahead, Rod.
Right? So now he's in the position of control with no paperwork. The only reason he even participated in the paperwork is because for their system, something got to be on file for them to dismiss the case. In our system, we just sink their ship and keep it moving. He did both. He left it on their records why their ship was sunk. Right? What did he say he wrote? Letters rogatory, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's a form of writ. Meaning that as he was standing in his sovereign capacity and they were interfering with his ancestral rights to roam the land as one of the chiefs. He told you the energy he brought with him when he said, I came in there with all the black feathers.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the crow. The one who returns from the underworld to bring the message to the dead walking among the living.
Fire.
All of that was science of a higher degree. And if your Moorish studies is dogmatic, you can't get where he at. They gonna trap you with the paperwork. They gonna UCC hook your ass in. Right, in the name of Jesus.
Crazy. Everybody hit that like, hit that subscribe button right now, man. If you're new to the channel, and you got about 15 more minutes, we'll take some of the crowd, Chief. This is somebody had, because they had a couple questions. Somebody was asking, hey, shout out that boy Duke the Tears, man. That boy just dropped, because the Chief been saying it all the time. We ain't need no paperwork, and then they've been saying you was crazy, and then the Duke saying the same thing. He already destroyed them without without the paperwork. Really, it's really what you got in your head, the knowledge you got in your head. You know what I'm saying? Like when you go in there, if you know your shit and you stand on your square, knowing your shit, they gotta back down, man. They can't mess with you if you on your square like the Duke was, and whatnot. They gotta stand down, man, because they really rogue. They really a rogue outfit. Go ahead.
Yeah, you got to complicate their system. That's caused the energy backup. Okay, it's just like if you have a power line, if it's too long without a relay, a relay reaccumulates the energy and shoot it back out. Right? Once this happens, it breaks the energy up. If it's too long between the relays, the energy starts getting too weak to power up the next relay. You start losing energy. So when you back their system up is when you take their relay out. So now they have to establish a new relay, a new energy. It's just like when they repairing a down power line. Right? They just wasting energy. But once they repair it, it's not the same line that was up there before. It got a patch somewhere. in order to, right. So they had to reroute the electricity because it can't run the same path it was on. It's been interrupted. So you got to put in something to allow the energy to continue to flow. That's what they did when they moved the court across the street. Bypass the energy that he backed up.
Man, this is witchcraft like a motherfucker, man, Rod.
They've been using it on us the whole time. He used defensive magic. The metaphysics is for offense and defense. So it's the same, like they using the court as a ship.
Man, boy, this shit cold. It's a cold piece.
Once you back that energy up, it's like water is now getting in the ship. It's gonna sink.
Hey, somebody said, Rod. Hey, y'all hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Somebody said, so I think we already got the land. We own the land. We don't really, somebody said, how can we reclaim the land without paperwork?
We have to overthrow the old system and put in our system. We overthrowing their system as we speak. It's a process. It's not instant. You're not in power until you empower. You're not back in control until you back in control. You can't almost be in the driver's seat. You're either in the driver's seat or you're not. Right? And so a lot of people gonna have an opportunity to get a piece of land from the ancestral plots that they have to decide how to divide it up. Right? But then there's some of us with a different claim. They got regions whose other people land sits on. Because that's how we passed out the land. That's how you determine the level of chiefs. And it was 3 high chiefs. The 3 high chiefs was usurped. So now the crown prince got to step in because the chief who's supposed to be doing the work has been indisposed by the system. The system has collapsed on their head.
Somebody said, since most of the information that we've been taught, I guess since we've been taught is false, how does one go about the proper measures of researching and enlightenment? Asking for a friend.
Look. Just because you got true information and false information. Even in the false information, they got some of the truth in it. You have to observe life and match your studies to what you see in real life. Your studies are then weed out where the deception is at. But you have to give yourself enough time to understand what you're seeing. We all was disoriented. So that means before you can determine to see the falsehood and the truth and the falsehood, you have to find your own mental balance. Right? You have to be reoriented. And when I'm saying oriented, I'm not saying orient as in Asia. You had to regain your focus of your position. The reason why they flipped the map is to start the disorientation process. Then they expand Europe and shrink the rest of the world to zoom in on the source of the problem that we're dealing with in this era. The next wave of maps to come out might have everything in its proper proportion and flip to its proper dimensions. And it changes the whole structure of how you perceive the world. First, you learn everything you can, and then you go back and review it. As you review it, your mind has had the opportunity to digest it by organizing the information and putting it where it needs to go. The authentication of the birth certificate is the attempt to cash in on the fraud that was committed on the child. But in my experience, if you write they end up making you party to their fraud, arrest you and charge you with fraud.
Hey, they make you an enemy of the state, right? Once you they label you as an enemy of the state. Yeah. Once you don't want to be their warlord no more.
Yeah.
Hey, for the person that's asking about Arkansas tribes and Tennessee tribes, you talking about the Choctaw, you talking about the Chickasaw, you talking about the Muskogee and the Creeks. That's their land. And then there might be some other smaller family tribes that are branch off from that tribes in those areas. But that's the main tribe. The biggest tribes were the Choctaw, the Mohawks, and that's the Arkansas area. And then Tennessee was Choctaw, Chickasaw, if I remember correctly on that map. And there might be some more smaller family tribes in there. We'll take one more, Rod, then we'll get out of here. Let's see, somebody else. Hey, shout out everybody in here. Everybody hit that like right now for us, man. It says, somebody says, how you think we can move different after a situation happened with police killing our people, Rod, because I feel like we repeat the same thing.
We do the same thing every time they kill one of us.
Damn.
Our biggest problem is we're not sufficiently organized to defend ourselves against them. We're not sufficiently armed to defend ourselves against them. It's like fighting against a tank with a bottle and a brick. Right. So we first have to organize. Until we get organized, we can't fight back properly. Right? All the Crip OGs need to get together and organize the Crips. All the Blood OGs need to get together and organize the Bloods and let them know about the deception that made us fight each other to the death. That it wasn't us.
Bro, that's fucking crazy, man. So I had a high-ranking official call, gangbanger call me today, and with Bodie, and he said, "Man, could you talk to Raw and see can we do a show with the? He got a high-ranking. He gonna get this high-ranking Crip, and it's a high-ranking Blood from New York, and he said I want them. They chiefs in their own tribes. I want them to sit down with Rod and see can we get all the gangs together and finish what Nipsey was trying to do." And I said, I'm gonna talk to Rod about it and see if he want to do it. So I'm waiting on him to get back with me and get them two leaders, the leader of the Crips that's in Atlanta, I guess in Atlanta, and then the leader of the Bloods in New York. And then I guess they got the dude in New York connects with the head of the Pyrus in California. So maybe we could get everybody, get Wacko, I think his name Wacko. Maybe we could get him on, get the dude that's ahead of Jim Jones homeboy that just got out. He really like the top rank. But if we could get that all these high, would you really be willing to do an interview with the high ranking gang members, Rod? And stand there for the DD?
Look, they all are out here trying to figure out what happened. Now that they know that the infiltrators that look like us, like for instance, we found out in the Rodney King riots that the police was dressing up like Bloods, starting shit with Crips, and dressing up like Crips and starting shit with Bloods. Right? We know from the Rampart scandal that they was going from one Crip set, shooting up another Crip set to turn blue against blue. Right? So we know that they was sending provocateurs to make us war with each other. It's just that nobody's telling the babies. So they can't adjust for it. So we have to get on here and have the dialogue and for the benefit of the youth, because they don't know that they've been infiltrated by provocateurs. And they don't know how to spot them. That's a whole growth and development class.
Yeah, that's what I told him. I said he said Raw the GD in it. He said I would have with Raw standing in for the Larry and with these other guys. And so I'm waiting on him to get back with me on that, and we'll probably set that up, man. You could be on with Wacko. That's the leader of the Pyrus in California. And I think I forget this dude name that he best friends with this guy. And then and then he got in contact with this dude because he's best friends with Kendrick Lamar. Look, I'm trying to get Kendrick Lamar to come on with you. I don't know how that's gonna work though. But he best friends with Kendrick Lamar, little cousin, right? So that's how he connected with the Pyrus, right? Because Kendrick Lamar is connected with his cousin, they Pyrus, right? So yeah, I'm gonna get with you on a private conversation on that, Rod. I'm gonna get these guys on the phone and see can we. They want. I know two of them was already agreed to it. I don't know about Wacko yet, but the two of the guys already agreed to it. So we gonna get that together, man. That's gonna be a big show for you as standing in for the GDs, and then we have a head Crip, a head Bud, and 2 to 3 different states, man. That's gonna be big.
Yeah,
That's gonna be big.
Right. So also I got a message for you. Big Mama told me to give you a number so you can invite her over to the young elders for dinner.
Okay, I got you. Hey, look, well, hey, you know, already know. Like you said, send them over. We gotta get them hooked up. We the I'm the I ain't no janky promoter. I'm the real deal, Holyfield, man. We the real deal, Holyfield. Shout out that boy Duke of Tears, man, for putting in that work, man. We giving Duke his flowers. I got my Taj Tariq Bay highlights coming out Friday. Stay tuned for that.
Gotta give a shout out to my home. I gotta give a shout out to my home boy Chris Glover Bay. They just secured a location for a local temple around here that they setting up. So shout out Glover Bay.
That's fire. That's fire. So everything is coming back into play. And I'm glad that because the paperwork thing was really bothering me. But now that I heard Duke verified what you said, and then you've been saying it the whole damn time that hey man, we don't fuck with paperwork because the paperwork is the trap. And so what I say about Moors is out here charging $300 to do paperwork that's pretty much almost, I can't say it's meaningless, but it's like a scam almost. Really,
it's more like a pyramid scheme.
Yeah, a Ponzi scheme, huh?
Yeah. You know, Taj said the only reason you do paperwork is for your personal record.
Yep, I just heard him. Hey, I got that clip. I ain't got it in this thing, but I got that clip on the highlights. On the highlights that I got coming out Friday. It's on the highlights. Yeah.
And he's a civics teacher.
Yeah.
He's a civics teacher. But see, in order for you to stand in your power, you got to have sufficient knowledge in order to enforce your authority. In order to know how to execute your claim. Your claim is called a redemption right. You have what's called judicial redemption, and then you have what's called territorial redemption. Territorial redemption is when all of the contracts on the land has expired. How do you recover your property under the usufruct agreement? Right? So there had to be a system in place for the legal side of stuff through their judiciary. But the problem with that is they replaced the real judges with administrative law judges. So legally, we can't get proper relief because they don't have the proper people in the place to oversee the redemption process through legal means, and it traps you in a paper chain. Now, the territorial redemption is what's called the tribal redemption. You have to speak for all of the tribes, even the ones that don't like you. Without any big eyes or little U's, you have to tell the truth as to why the land was usurped, how the land was usurped, who usurped the land, where did they come from, what method did they use to conquer the people of the land. They didn't conquer. We was at a standstill of a stalemate because we was under a ceasefire agreement until somebody could educate themselves above the condition. By educating yourself above the condition, you can clearly see the difference between the ones that belong here and the ones that want to take over. The entitlement of a settler in his claim to our land is the proof of who he is, a usurper. Then he gonna expose himself by compelling you to use the method he chose for you to use to trap yourself in his system. The only way out of his system is to bypass it using the grandfather clause. The grandfather clause say the wisest thing to do is activate Mrs. Claus, the grandmother clause. The grandmother clause is the tribal mother's right to reclaim all lands of the Americas, Turtle Island, whatever you want to call it. But they got a tribal right to recover it when all of the contracts are closed in order to prepare for the next 7 generations. And it was only temporary. It was never supposed to be permanent. Now comes the changing of the guard. When the old system is done being dismantled and everything is accounted for, now they can surrender it back under the grandfather clause. They can surrender it back to the tribal mothers under the grandmother clause. Her right can only be exercised when the tribal mothers become aware that they are the first right to the earth right heirs. That cannot be usurped, cannot be exchanged or traded. It's not on the open market. It's from the spirit. The spiritual connection of the women to the earth gives them the right to reclaim the matriarchy and sit in the sacerdotal seat and restructure the new system as the lawgivers, the matriarchs. Once this is understood, then we have to find one that's audacious enough to go sit in the sacerdotal seat in all they face. It ain't no secret. We ain't running, we ain't ducking, we ain't hiding. We just taking back what's ours, canceling out all of their contracts for the fraud they committed and luring us into contracts they never intended to keep.
Right.
That's fraud. That's larceny by conversion. To trap us in the usufruct agreement, right? That they knew they never intended to return what they stole. Right? So because of the fraud, we don't have to honor the contracts, meaning the treaties. They failed to honor the treaties. They deliberately went back on the treaties. They act like the treaties didn't exist. The Supreme Court ruled that they was not supposed to go through with the Indian removal when they done it anyway.
Yeah.
That means that they are the lawless ones who's pushing the law as an agenda for us to be ensnared in a system. They don't follow the law they tell us to follow, and the law wasn't for us. The law was to control them. They turned it all around and used it against us. But turnabout fair play, that's what my mama say. So now since they use it against us, I'm going to use our system against them and follow the oral tradition from A to Z. Put it in the public domain, explain it for all of the tribes to get it, and without distinction for tribal superiority or inferiority. There's no tribes bigger than another, no tribe smaller than another one in my mind. We all belong here as the tribes of the land. We got a right to tell the squatters to exit, stage left, jump off a cliff, and don't come back. We don't care where the F you go, but you can't stay here.
Yeah.
Right.
Just like y'all still told them swine. You got to get on up out. They ran off the cliff. Yeah. So, hey, y'all, this is what we want y'all to do. We got about 2,000 people on. Everybody hit that like, hit that subscribe button right now. Also, everybody show Chief some love on the Cash App or PayPal, man. For the people in London, we got the PayPal up. Hey, man, everybody send them $10, $5, whatever you got, $1. If you don't got, man, everybody send them something. If you can, send them $100. Put them in the game till the next time we come in. All my big high rollers on the game. They send $100 to TD Jakes, and he got a guy on stage just dancing. I don't know if you seen that, bro. That guy on there.
My phone about to die, Elder.
All right, yeah, we about to get ready to get off though. Y'all make sure y'all send Chief something right now. Y'all hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Like I said, go subscribe to the boy Duke of Tears page. We got his links in the descriptions.
And man, we got more coming out. We got more of the Duke teachings coming out because I'm pretty much breaking down most of all his teachings that I can break down, creating AIs and just pretty much breaking down, adding it to whatever we excuse me. I'm adding to whatever we because a lot of the stuff he's talking about, we already got. He's saying the same thing we saying about the Libra Code, about the overthrowing of the Republic. We all got all these tapes already. Me and Roy got the we got a lot of tapes already, but so everything is lining up. Peace and love, y'all. Show Chief some love, y'all. We about to get up out of here. Peace throughout the balanced universe to all Islam, to my Moors. Man, it's all love, man. Free our political prisoners. One love, one heart. Let's get up out of here. Wadu. Never have it been made so clear.